Hello, everybody. A very Merry Christmas to everybody. I hope you're all doing well, and I hope you've all had a great week. Welcome to the show. I got to start off by saying that we have a small change of plan for tonight's show, for which I apologize most sincerely. Basically, I decided because this month I've kind of like not been particularly here, and I've been quite unwell, especially the last 2 weeks. So I've not really been able to do a Wednesday show properly or a Sunday show properly since, the middle of the month. So I decided as a result of that I'm going to extend the deadline for the closing of the Christmas songwriting contest. So if you have already entered, well done to you. If you were thinking that it was all over and done and you weren't going to get a piece in time, I've just bought you some extra time. So if you want to take part, even at this late point, you can do that. So the new deadline is going to be New Year's Eve. So it's going to be noon Central Time, New Year's Eve. Okay? So I have not as yet listened to any of the entries that we have so far. But I'm going to take some time to listen to them. And if we have new entries between now and noon Central, so that's 12 noon Central Time on New Year's Eve, then I will count those and I will listen to those as well. And then we will have the Hogmanay show at 6 p.m. Central, which is going to be 7 p.m. Let me get the time right. 7 p.m. Central, not 6 p.m. 7. So it's an hour later than it normally would be for a Sunday Night Live or a Songwriting Simplified. So this is New Year's Eve. The Hogmanay show is 7 p.m. And on that show, we will announce the winner. I know some of you are here because you were expecting that we would announce the winner for the contest tonight. Well, like I said, because I've not been well and I've not really been around to kind of do some of the things that I wanted to do to give you guys some extra tools, some extra information that would help you with your songs, I decided to extend it basically. So that is what is happening. So consider you guys lucky that I've extended it. So I hope that helps those of you that wanted to enter and thought that they maybe just didn't have time to enter. So this means that, you can sneak into your studio during the Christmas period when your family are maybe watching a Christmas movie that you're maybe not into. You can sneak into your studio and you can finish your song. So I thought that would help. And would also, just make things a little bit more interesting. So that's what we're doing. If we don't get any new entries, that's okay too. I don't mind. We do have a small selection this year. It's not maybe as many entries as last year, but I guess, people have maybe been busier this year than last year. So I'm bearing that in mind. Certainly for me, December has been, I would say the first half of December was good. It was successful. I made a very successful trip to Hamburg and started feeling unwell when I came home, or rather started feeling unwell when I was on my way home from Hamburg. And then I kind of got progressively worse and culminating in kind of last week. And this week, I'm still not fully fit, to tell the truth. I was hoping I would be. But really, I'm not. I mean, basically, the story of this last week has been, um, I worked for some of it, but I just didn't have any energy. This particular variant of flu is very, very aggressive. It's not COVID, but in some ways it shares some of the symptoms of COVID, but it's not COVID. But it is very, very aggressive. And the thing that it does do is it just robs you of your energy. So, for example, I've been finishing my day of work and I've been going straight to bed and I am asleep until morning. And so that's more sleep than I normally get. Normally for me, an average night of sleep would be 5 to 6 hours. That's standard for me and has been since I was maybe about 15. But just this week, I've been going to bed as soon as I finish work, and then I don't wake up until the morning. So yeah, so it's been tough. And as a result, I've just not had any energy really, particularly to try and do a show. I did do a show on Wednesday, and somehow I made it through that. I don't know how the heck I made it through that. Other than what I did was after work, I went to bed and I slept for 4 hours, and then I got up and I did the show. But so I've not even done my own Christmas song. What you're listening to at the start of the show was an arrangement of Silent Night that I wrote for my quintet probably about 25 years ago, nearly 30 years ago. And I basically just decided to just play it all into Studio One, which is what I did. So yeah, there you go. Basically, that's what I played for you at the start of the show. It's just a little bit of that arrangement. So I've not had a time to do a proper reharmonization of a carol apart from that, really. But like I said, that's something that I'd written years ago. So I had in mind to do something completely different, completely new for this year. And I didn't get to it because I've been too unwell. So yeah, I'm a bit disappointed personally for me that I've not really been able to make the best out of December, because for me, December is like a really important month because we have this songwriting contest and I want to give you guys a wealth of information, and I've not been able to do that. So, yeah, Wednesday's show was quite flamboyant. It was. I had a very nasty little coughing fit right there in the middle of that show. So, yeah, it's been tough. And so I apologize to all of you for kind of winding you up that, tonight was the night, and it's not. So I'm sorry about that. So, hopefully everything will be just fine for the Hogmanay show, and we'll announce the winner, and then I will get the winner squared away with their prize. Don't worry, we'll get that taken care of. You may get it in the new year, but you will get it, okay? It'll be okay. So, I apologize unreservedly for messing you guys about and having to change the plan a little bit, but it is what it is. So, let's see who's here, because I don't think we have that many people here. We got 15, which is low for a Sunday. Normally we'd have like 20s, late 20s, early 30s here. But I guess it is the time of year as well. Everybody's starting to get ready for Christmas. So, fair enough. So, let's see. We've got Billy was first in the door, followed by Kyle, and Brett Marla he was here, mostly to say hello because he is working, and he says he'll watch the replay. So Brett, hello to you if you're watching the replay. And he says, and celebrate the winners in spirit. Yeah, there is no winner at the moment. It's been postponed until the Hogmanay show. So, Brett, if you're still working on your tune, by all means, continue to work on it because you can enter it still. Let's see. Just Bob is also here. Daryl Harrison is here. Dwayne is here as well. And we got Sean Aaron, and we've got Sean Carr here as well. Good to see you, my friend. And we got Keith here, and Dave is most definitely here. Mike and Venus are here. Hello to you guys. I hope you guys are doing well over there, way over there in the Philippines. I hope it's going great for you. Hope you're having nice weather as well. Let's see. I think I already mentioned Just Bob is here. And we got Mark Bergstaller here as well. Hello to you, my friend. Welcome. It's not often that we see here. I'll start it again. It's not often we see you here, so welcome. I'm glad you're here. And of course, we've got the Mixmaster is here too. Awesome. Dave says December has been a bit messy here, busy, weird economic stuff as well. Yeah, everybody's a little bit short of cash this Christmas. That is definitely true. I can personally testify to that as well. Juan is here. Juan very, very awesomely won the Halloween songwriting contest. So Juan, I hope you're enjoying your prize, my friend. Hope it's working out well for you. Let's see. Yeah. Oh, yes. The equinox, of course. Yes. So today is the shortest day of the year in the Northern Hemisphere. So we are kind of at that point now where from tomorrow, the days will start getting longer and the nights will start getting shorter. This is good news. Today is definitely the shortest day. And I certainly felt that today because the sun set here in Scotland was at 3:30 in the afternoon. So, I was definitely noticing it today because actually today, weather-wise, it was just dark. The skies were heavy and, you know, filled with rain. So it's kind of been dark all day. So when the sun set at 3:30, it just went dark. It was just like dark, and then it went darker. So not a whole lot of light to be had today. Let's see. They're getting our money earlier and earlier. Yeah, I think you may be right there. But also, I think just everybody is just short on cash at the moment. Not that I'm making this about politics, because really, this isn't a political thing. For me, this is an economic thing. And now, obviously, economics are tied up with politics because, you know, economic policy is a political policy, generally speaking. However, everybody in the West in particular is just short of money at the moment because the cost of living is absurd. And I think we're all feeling that, especially at this time of year where, you know, we're all spending more money than we ordinarily would because it's Christmas and we're buying gifts for everybody. So yeah, we're going to be paying for that definitely in January and February because nobody will have any money in January and February. And then, of course, those of you that have credit cards will be paying off your credit cards. And we'll still have no money. So, so there we go. Sunsets have been getting later in the US for a bit now. Yeah, you mean earlier. Sunsets get earlier in the winter. They don't get later. That's not how it works. when the northern hemisphere moves into winter, because of the tilt and because of our orientation as we go around the sun, in winter the days get shorter, the nights are longer, and so therefore sunset is earlier and earlier until it reaches a peak point. And obviously the other thing that you'll notice is the position of the sun at noon will be slightly different because of that, because as the sun from our perspective appears to basically circle us overhead, it kind of doesn't, we rotate, and because of the tilt of the earth, that creates the seasons, the 23.4 degrees of axial tilt, I think it is. Because of that, we have seasons. And therefore, in the winter, the days get shorter and the nights get longer. And then in the summertime, it's the other way round. The days get longer and the nights are shorter. And that's actually just a simple scientific fact. That's how it works. That's the difference between summer and winter. I know that to be true because here, on the shortest day of the year in Scotland, and Scotland is definitely in the northern hemisphere, like I said, sunset today was 3:30 in the afternoon. Now, if I go back to the summertime, to August, when to July, when we have the longest day, sunset here in Scotland is after 10 p.m., nearer to 11 p.m. And then kind of like at that point where you have the longest day of the year, the sun, although it does set, it does go below the horizon. It doesn't go very far below the horizon. And then by like 4 o'clock in the morning, the sun is coming back up. And I have photographic evidence of this. I've taken photographs at 1 a.m. from the roof of my house, looking towards the city of Edinburgh, and you can still see the glow of the sun on the horizon. The sun is definitely below the horizon, but it is lighting up the light above the horizon, so you can still see the glow of the sun, and particularly the glow of the sun on the cloud base. So if there is cloud in the sky, you can totally see the sun lighting up the underside of the cloud. And so that happens in the summertime. And, so we definitely get that in the summer. So it is actually true. In the northern hemisphere, the sun sets later even as days get shorter around the winter solstice because the Earth's elliptical orbit and axial tilt causes a mismatch between solar time and clock time, meaning the sun runs slow and delays sunsets and sunrises past the solstice, with the earliest sunset happening in December and the latest sunrise in early July. Okay. Whatever you say. This is not the place to debate this kind of stuff, to be fair. All right, so let's see. Prime rib roast at Costco is $150. Good grief. That's incredibly expensive. All right, so does anyone have any questions to do with Studio One and songwriting and arranging and that kind of stuff? Because if you do, let's get them into the chat. Also, like I said last week, if you have any predictions for what you think will be released in 2026, and we could be talking features for future versions of Studio One or hardware products, let's get them in the chat as well. Obviously, I'm not giving anything away, but I'd be really interested to see what you guys have to say. What you think we will see in 2026 from PreSonus. Let's see. Billy actually does have a question. He says, "Is there a way to select all events and line them up at bar 0 via a key command?" You can do Control A to select all the events, and then you can just drag and drop, just move them to bar 0. There isn't really specifically a way in which you can do that via a key command. But certainly you can do Control A and just, grab one of the events whilst all of them are selected and then move it. And then everything will move as one until it lines up with bar 0. You can do that for sure. But other than that, I mean, that's kind of the way I do it. That's the way I think that's pretty much the way I've always done it. There are other options. If, for example, you are getting the stems from another DAW, for example, like Pro Tools. If the person you're working with is using Pro Tools, you can ask them to export the song as an AAF file format. And then you can just drag and drop that file directly onto the start page of Studio One. It will open a new song and it will drop all of those files into the timeline, and all the sections will be where they were in Pro Tools, like at exactly where they should be in the timeline. So if you've got something all chunked up into different sections, like you've got a verse here, a chorus here, and then there's nothing in between these two sections, they will be exactly where they should be. You don't have to spend any time lining stuff up. AAF just basically has the timestamp on every event, and then Studio One will read those timestamps and it will place everything in its original place. So you don't have to spend any time lining anything up. So I get this all the time from folks that's they want to send me a Pro Tools session, and I say, hey, don't send me the Pro Tools session. Just export the session as an AAF file. And then I can just open that up straight in Studio One and everything is there. Then all I have to do is just color code everything. Easy. There are other DAWs that will export as AAF. I think Cubase will. You can also do it with Premiere Pro as well. So if somebody's done a video and they're using Premiere Pro and they want you to mix the stems out of the audio for Premiere Pro, you can bring those straight into Studio One again as an AAF file, and then you can do all the mixing, and then you can send that straight back, and it will sync straight back up in Premiere Pro. So if you're doing the audio or the dialogue or something like that for a film or for a TV commercial or something like that from Premiere Pro, you can totally do that. Very straightforward, very easy, and nothing gets moved ever. So, yeah, so other than that, select all by Control or Command A, and then just drag. And that will move everything to where you want it to be. Yeah, Billy had a question earlier. I got to that one. Juan says, Prediction 1, remote control for iPhone app. To start recording. Okay. You're talking about the Studio One remote being available on the iPhone. Yes, it's not available on the iPhone. It is a little bit of an anomaly. Because you can get it on an Android device, you can get it on an iPad, you can get it on your PC, you can get it on a Mac. You just can't get it on an iPhone. The iPhone version is just not available. You will not find it in the iOS App Store for your phone. You will find it in the iOS App Store for your iPad, but not on iPhone. I'm not sure why, to be honest. I'm not sure why. It is something to do with the dimensions of an iPhone that make it difficult. But I can get it on my phone here, and it works pretty great. And I've got it on my iPad as well, which is tucked away under here. which is, again, it's handy if I'm at the back of the room with a microphone. I'm recording my sax or my flugelhorn. I can just stick it on a music stand with my chart, and I can just, I can just press start and stuff like that from there. Let's see. Dwayne says, could you remind me what the difference is between channels and tracks when exporting stems? Okay, so channels include the inserts and sends and all the processing therein. So, whereas tracks are just the audio events before the mixer. So no processing, no sends, no inserts, no nothing, no panning, no volume faders, nothing. So that's the difference fundamentally. So when you're doing export stems, if you want to export the stems with their inserts and sends processing on them, then you need to select channels. If you want to just send just the raw audio with no panning, no fader position, no nothing, then you do export the tracks. Let's see. Mark says, if I export stems, will the stem of the main reflect the effects on the main? Depends how you do it. Like I just said to Dwayne, if you do export tracks, nope. If you do export channels, then it will process the channels. And I believe it also does process through the main as well. Let's see. Billy says a new version of Studio what? A new version of Studio One 26? I think that's what you said there. A new version of Studio One. So you are predicting a whole new version of Studio One for 2026? Okay, that's pretty bold. That's pretty bold. Maybe we will see that. Who knows? Dave says, I have a queue on mapping audio to grid, running 3 tracks, and I wanted to just find common tempo. The tracks are aligned to themselves. I understand this may be an arduous task, hoping for a quicker resolution. Okay, if you want to align something to the grid, Studio One does have built-in tempo detection, especially in version 7. If you are using version 6, you won't find this quite so easy. But if you are on version 7 and you're on the latest version of version 7, which is 7.2.3, then you will find that you can basically have Studio One detect the tempo of an audio event. You can open up the inspector, and when you go down to the tempo section, it will have a value in there already. Now, if the value is red, then what that is that's Studio One making a guess based on the transient information of the audio event. Remember, the more transient information, the easier it is for Studio One to give you an accurate tempo. So something like a vocal, it's not going to have a whole bunch of transients. So it's not going to be very easy for Studio One to decide what the tempo is, to guess what the tempo is. So that's why you'll see something in red. It's basically Studio One going, I think this is what the tempo of this event is. And then it will give you the option to either approve that. And if you hit approve, it will then basically effectively print that tempo data to the audio event, especially if you have time stretch selected. And you'll be able to see the stem either shrink or expand, depending upon what it needs to do for the audio to be correct for the tempo of the song. And then the other option then that you're going to need to do is you're going to need to use bend markers, and then you're going to have to quantize the audio based on the bend markers and the transient detection. So yeah. And so Marcus Huskins actually has, I think he has maybe 2, maybe 3 really, really good videos on tempo detection. As Studio One has improved tempo detection, he's released more videos to kind of update on how well it does it. So it's well worth checking out those videos and seeing how tempo detection is best done. So he's done this, with using a piece of music that's not recorded to the grid and then basically adjusting it so that it does get aligned to the grid. And he actually had some pretty successful results. And most of that was down to manually lining up beat ones on each bar, on each measure, using bend markers to do that. And then once he'd done that for the whole song, and yes, that does take time to do, then it was easier to then go and finesse everything in between beat one of one bar and beat one of the next one. So there's that way of doing things. Mixmaster says, how are you using the iPad remote app? It's on my iPad. The best thing to do is basically find it and explore it for yourself, really, to be honest. It doesn't just have transport control. It has the chord track and it has the lyrics track, displays, rather. It has the lyrics display in particular. But at the top, if you've got the chord track enabled, you should be able to see it on the iPad as well. Also, it has macro buttons. And you can use the ones that are pre-built, or you can create your own little macro buttons, and then you can use those to to basically perform certain functions in Studio One. It's very, very powerful. It's very, very effective. It's very creative. It's very easy to do. So if you need to record and you're not anywhere near, like I said earlier, if I'm at the back of my studio and I'm recording my sax or I'm recording my flugelhorn, I don't do that here. I do that further back in the room. And I just set up a mic and a mic stand to do that. And I use the iPad app. And I can control Studio One on this computer that's in front of me here. Sorry, my nose is really itchy. And, I can be at the back of the studio. Okay, your Android have the app, haven't tried it. Give it a try. Give it a try. It's very, very useful. It's great if you have the show page as well. Because you can actually open up the performance section and you can control the performance section from the iPad. Very, very cool. No, Dave, you don't need to bounce any tracks. You can just do the tempo detection on each track. Just Bob says, can we create templates to use for new songs? Can we save templates for using the splitter tool, amps, etc.? Yeah, you can create as many templates as you want. I have a lot of different templates for a lot of different things. I have a mixing template that has my busing system in it. I also have a podcasting template because I edit and mix a podcast every week, and that has all the plugins that I use. And when I when I create a new song with that template, it opens up the tracks, the channels, the routing that I need, and the plugins that I want, including the presets for those plugins. So all of that is already set up in the template. So when I create a new song with that template, everything loads in, including presets that I use every time. And it just saves me a ton of time, because then all I have to do is just drag in the audio events for the podcast onto their particular tracks that they need to be on. And then most of the mixing side of the work is done by the presets that I personally have already created for that job. So I have compressors, I have limiters, I have DSs, I have RX for noise removal, and those are all set up ready to go using presets that I have pre-created for the podcast. So it works great. And you can do that for anything. You can create templates for just about any scenario that you could possibly be working in. So I also have a little folk band template as well, because my parents, they are very versatile musicians. They in one life they are a little folk band, and in another life they do soul and funk and, you know, fusion, jazz fusion stuff. And so I have I've been working with them for a while on an album that they're doing, and it's all folk stuff, English folk stuff, and American folk songs as well. And so that's like vocals, acoustic guitar, upright bass, and like a snare drum and hi-hat. And so it's just like a couple of microphones for that. And so I have that set up ready to go. So when I'm recording them or I'm mixing their songs, all I do is just bring in the stems and put them on the correct tracks, and everything's already set. So it's dead easy. So for amps and things like that, you can save a channel preset. And then you can just drag and drop that straight onto your guitar channel, and that will have all of your presets ready to go. Including routing, stuff like that. Let's see. Billy says remote available for iPad but not iPhone. Yes, that is correct. That is what I said earlier. Yep. It's on iPad but not iPhone. That's correct. Does it use Wi-Fi? So here's how it works. It kind of does use Wi-Fi. The reason why it does that is because it needs to work with your computer. It needs to be on the same local network. So, for example, my phone at the moment is using my local network, my Wi-Fi. So is my computer. And as a result, my phone can talk to Studio One through the app. And so, you know, let me just demonstrate just for a second. You're not really going to be able to see any of this. Hang on, where's the app gone? So if I open up the remote, wait for it to find the network. Yeah, why is it not finding Studio One? It should. There we go. And I tap Studio One on the screen, and now you can see that it is showing Studio One, the mixer. So that's the mixer for the Silent Night that you were just listening to at the start of the show. And so I can play that just by tapping on the start and stop buttons. There's also this little button here. You see next to the little house icon, there's like a bunch of rectangles. When you tap on that, that shows up all of the macro controls, and they look a little bit like this. And so all of those buttons you can tap, and it will do different things in Studio One depending upon which one you tap. Okay, there you go. There's the macros. And so there's different ones for transport. There's console, there's event macros, there's all sorts of different categories, and you can just swipe along to whichever set of macros you need for whatever functionality. Including composing. I mean, there's the show page ones, and there's absolutely loads of these. Okay? So there's absolutely loads of macros there that you can use. And like I said, there's also the lyrics display. So if you've got lyrics in your song, you can tap the little L icon. And when you tap the L icon, the lyrics display will appear in the iPad app, which is great if you're recording a vocal and you've got the lyrics set up in the lyrics display in Studio One. You can tap that and you can record vocals at the other side of your studio. All right, so I'm going to put the phone down for right now because I don't need it. It's really, really powerful. Really, really powerful. And like I said, you can use it in performance mode in the show page. You can trigger the macros. You can do whatever you need to do. You can set it up to record a track, monitor the track, and you can adjust plugins. So any plugins that you've got as inserts or sends, you can just tap on the little plugin icon on the insert bay when you have the insert showing, because it's like a little insert button on the side. And when you're showing the inserts, you'll see all of the plugins, and you can just tap on those, and then you can make adjustments. So if you're not happy with the EQ settings of your vocal, or you're not happy with the amount of reverb or whatever, you can adjust all of those on the iPad app or on Android phone, or whatever. It's just not on iPhone yet, but it is on iPad and Android. Pretty easy to use. Let's see what else we got here. Same thing as Universal Remote. Yeah, it's not the same thing as Universal Control. They are two different applications. Rich Cresswell is in the building. Hello, Rich. Good to see you, my friend. I hope you're doing all right, mate. I hope you have not had what I've had these last few weeks, because it's nasty. So I hope you've missed out on it. I hope everybody misses out on it personally. Dave says, I picked up a cheap Android tablet just to use for the remote. Yes, that's a good way to do it. However, different parts of the world, cheap is not necessarily the same thing, unfortunately, because different countries have different economies. So, yeah, you can pick up cheap secondhand Android or iPad devices relatively cheaply in the United States and in the UK, but different parts of the world, that might not be the same thing. It might still be an expensive commodity, unfortunately. Just Bob says, for proper functionality, the Studio One Remote app requires a minimum screen resolution of 1024 by 768. PreSonus recommends at least an 8-inch tablet for Android devices to ensure usability. Yeah, that would definitely be true. However, like I said, it will work on an Android phone. It is a little bit on the small side, but it certainly works. No question about it. But it is better on something a little bit bigger, like my iPads. I have it on this one here. This one here is 10-inch, and it looks great on this. But I've also got an iPad Pro, which is 12-inch, and it's even easier to use on that one. But it works. It absolutely works. Great questions, everybody. Keep them coming in. We've got about 15 minutes or so left. So yeah, keep them coming. Especially your predictions for future stuff from PreSonus. Please keep those coming in. I would still be very interested to see what you guys have got to say. Mixmaster says Amazon Fire cheap tablet in US. Yes, I'm not sure whether you can get the Studio One remote on an Amazon device though. Not sure. But certainly a second-hand Samsung Galaxy, yep. Just maybe not too old of a Galaxy tablet. I think it might need to be reasonably modern for the latest version of the Studio One remote app to work. But yeah, probably in terms of price, you're probably going to get an Android tablet for cheaper than an iPad, for sure. I mean, iPads are expensive, no question about that. Just Bob says a remote tablet from PreSonus would be cool. One that plays with either operating system. Yeah, I think it would be cool too. I just don't know how they would do that. Because, you know, building something like that just for PreSonus software products would be a very expensive endeavor for sure. Especially one that should be able to dual boot Mac OS or iOS, or Windows, the Windows operating system for Windows tablets. If it's going to be able to dual boot those two different operating systems, that would be very expensive indeed. Mixmaster says no new major Studio One version in 2026. Okay, interesting prediction. One that's kind of maybe a little more negative than positive, but still, you might be right. You might be right. It will be very interesting to see whether that is something that comes true. Kyle says new release at January 2026 NAMM. Okay, new release of what? What would you like to see at NAMM? Yes, feature requests. If you need to go make a feature request, you can go to feedback-software.presonus.com. Hang on a second. feedback-software.presonus.com. What you might find possibly happens when you go to that little website there is if you click on that and you get an error 404 talking about your cookies being too large, just clear your cookies and cache from your browser and try it again, and it should work. It should work just fine. I'm going to test that myself just to be sure. And yeah, I got exactly the same thing. Say, if you get like a 400 bad request header or cookie too large, just clear your cache cookies, refresh, and it should work. Let's see. Okay, Carl says a new version of Studio One unveiled at NAMM. Okay, NAMM's not too far away. So yeah, we're talking like when is NAMM this year? Is it like the middle of January this year? That being the case, yeah, we are looking at probably only a few weeks away. So yeah, it would be interesting to see what comes at NAMM, and you may be right. Price drop on large Eris monitors. Well, there have been sales ongoing for Black Friday and then the end of year sale. Go to presonus.com and check out what is available on sale. Because I think, it's not just software. I think it's some hardware gear is on sale as well. Okay. Carl says he'd love a large cookie. I think everybody would as well, actually. Argentinian version of Studio One. Well, I think you can already set Studio One to Spanish, as far as I'm aware. And holiday party in Buenos Aires. I think everybody at Presonus would love to go to Buenos Aires and hang out with Juan. I think everybody would. No question about that. All right, Keith says, new major version released at NAMM, major third-party integration, expanded splice, and a revamped presence. Now, those are some interesting predictions, for sure, and actually really rather specific. Major third-party integration. Okay, so when you say major third-party integration, which third-party product are you thinking of when you say that? Because that would be very cool, depending upon what the third-party product is. Wireless mic and guitar systems would be cool. D-Sound Recording Studio says, what do you think about the new expanding integration AI with DAWs? Oh, you mean things like Suno? Suno I'm not a big fan of at all. But I think I talked about this last week, I think. I've been unwell, so really my mind is completely Swiss cheesed as to what I talked about this month or didn't talk about. So if I've talked about this before, then somebody please say, hey, you've talked about this before. If not, and if you have heard me talk about my opinion on AI before, then feel free to just kind of switch off for a minute or two. So here's my personal opinion on AI integration with music production software products, because my opinion is a little specific. Personally, I think the whole AI bubble will burst. Right now, it's really, really trendy. Everybody likes a bit of AI. Everybody likes a bit of ChatGPT. Everybody likes, AI to be able to do stem separation. And yes, Studio One is using a little bit of AI to do the stem separation already in Studio One 7. That already exists. And there's other applications of AI in various software products at the moment. And I'm fairly confident that other DAW developers are doing this to one degree or another. And that's because it's kind of a trend right now. So everybody's kind of going, oh yeah, we need to have a little bit of AI integration because, this is kind of where people are going with things at the moment. I think it is a trend that will not last. The bubble for AI will burst, much like the .com bubble burst in 2000. When, everybody was building .com businesses and then the whole bottom fell out of that thing. And it kind of died a death, really. That's not to say people didn't continue building online businesses and selling virtual products. Lots of people have done that. Joe Gilder still does that. Graham Cochran still does that, although not necessarily with music production education materials anymore. He's more of a business coach now. And so, things like the Recording Revolution is kind of largely dead, unfortunately. But Joe Gilder is still doing his thing and still selling digital products. So there are people that are very successfully selling digital products. Dave Vignola is another friend of mine who is making a decent pile of cash out of selling tutorial products. So the whole concept of the digital entrepreneur still is a thing, even though the .com bubble burst back in 2000 or so. So I personally think the AI bubble will burst as well. And does this mean that AI integration into DAWs will basically just stop, or they'll get removed from DAWs? No, I don't think so. All that will happen, I think, is that development for those kind of things will just stop. But the features will remain, and they'll still be useful, but I don't think you would see a whole lot more coming. What will happen to things like ChatGPT and other chatbots and things like that? Well, I think some of those things might just die, to be honest. I think ChatGPT certainly will die a death. So I think, there has been a lot of fear over AI, that AI is basically just going to take over the world. And, I think there is good to be had with AI. If AI actually improves our lives and serves us in a positive way so that we have time in our lives freed up to do creative things like making music, then I think AI is probably a good thing. Where I think it can be dangerous is certainly at the moment, AI, a lot of people take it as gospel truth. I see this a lot when people say, I see this in the Persona Studio One group quite a bit, actually, where people will post a question, but instead of actually framing it as a question, they'll say, I ran this through ChatGPT, and this is what ChatGPT told me. And they call that kind of a question, but they will take what ChatGPT says to be accurate, to be truthful, to be factual. Here's the thing, it's not. It's just not. ChatGPT is very good at crawling through already existing databases of answers, particularly when it comes to, Studio One. It basically will search the online user manual that already exists. It will search the Personas knowledge base because those are Google searchable, And so it will basically go and search those things with the information that you've given it, and it will feed you back results. However, it also searches social media, and it searches YouTube, and it can get bad information as well as good information, and it can put the two things together in one basically set of results. And then people will take that as being gospel truth because it's AI. AI is not going to lie to me, is it? It might not willingly lie to you or deliberately be programmed with intent to lie to you, but it can give you wrong information. So don't trust it. And therefore, for that reason, I think the whole AI thing is going to go poof. And I don't think we're very far away from that point. I think we are maybe 2, maybe 3 years tops away from that happening. Let's see. I hope Studio won't get left behind, though. See, I don't think there is any being left behind. I really don't. I think when the bubble bursts, it will be the DAW that makes the best use of AI technology that will come out on top. Not the one that uses the most AI. It'll be the one that uses AI in the best way, the best implementation of AI technology. That'll be the DAW that wins out, not the one that has the most AI built into it. So, DAW developers, they are the smartest people on the planet. I know because I know a bunch of DAW developers. It's the Hamburg team. I know them very well. They are amongst my best friends. I have, I've been to Hamburg. I was in Hamburg just a few weeks ago, and I spent a lot of time with them personally, sitting with them, talking with them. And they are seriously smart, intelligent people. And they're also really, really nice folks as well. So again, DAW developers are really smart people. So they're not just going to chuck something into a DAW because it's trendy. They will take the best of a trendy idea and they will find the best implementation that's going to give Studio One the best advantage and that's actually going to serve customers the best and make music making easier. Just Bob says, incorporating Fender's Tonemaster Pro or parts of it into Studio One like an Ampere add-on. Now that is a great idea. I have a Tonemaster Pro, which is just down here. You can't see it. It's out of shot. But I do have a Tonemaster Pro. And I'm not a guitar player. Well, I'm not even a fake guitar player. I'm a fake guitar player. But it does have some really nice bass amps built into it as well. So I run my bass through that and I use that as a bass amp. And then I take the output of that into my Quantum when I'm recording my bass. But I've also ran my flugelhorn through it as well to get really, distorted, nasty sounds. And then run that through a crybaby wah-wah pedal and then out into the Quantum. So I can take the sounds of the Tonemaster Pro, run that through the crybaby, so I've got some wah-wah, and then whack that through into the Quantum. And I get awesome, weird wah-wah flugelhorn sounds. So yes, incorporating the Tonemaster Pro would be awesome. Let's see, what else do we have? Hey, you know what? It's Christmas. I'm going to let the show run over a little bit. Because it's Christmas. Like my answer regarding sunsets and length of days. I already knew that from Fact Check Public Radio Report. Right, okay. Let's see. It's a great writing tool. I think it can certainly suggest, I think AI as a writing tool is a misnomer, but I think it can certainly be useful to help you get started. For sure. Carl says more bug fixes, more suggested features added. Yes, I think we will see both of those in the future. Without question. Remember when Atmos was king? Yeah, Atmos was definitely the new thing. And it still is a thing. But Atmos is one of those things that is out of reach for most bedroom home studio producers. Definitely. But there's definitely a market for Atmos, which is why it was added to Studio One in the first place. It was added because there are people that are in our customer base who are working in the film industry, or they're working with high level clients who need surround mixes. I mean, surround mixes have been being done since over 20 years ago. For example, the last Steely Dan record, which was released in 2003, was mixed by Elliot Shiner, who is a multiple Grammy Award-winning mix engineer. And he won a Grammy for doing the 5.1 surround mix of that record that year. That was 2003. So surround mixing's been around for a long time. And it's still a thing today, over 20 years later. So, people still do surround mixes, and there is still a demand for being able to do surround mixes. So, for that reason, it's important that Studio One has surround mixing capabilities, Atmos as well. It's important. Wikipedia. Oh my God, Dave. Yeah. See, as a university professor, any student of mine that's cited from a Wikipedia article would get an automatic F grade on their papers. Automatic. Because it's such a bad source. Jimi Hendrix Electric Ladyland regarded as the first quad sound album. Really? I did not know that. And let's see, what else do we have? Lawyers, when lawyers use AI on the job, some links are created on AI, some are, and some problems occur. Yes, most certainly. I don't use AI in my job, and Presonus doesn't use AI for technical support. So if you are making a support ticket, you will get a support ticket answered by an actual person. And if you're really, 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 really lucky, you might get a ticket answered by me. Unlikely though, because I'm not full-time in tech support anymore. But you might get your tickets, your tech support ticket answered by me. Because yes, there is no AI in tech support for Presonus. It's all actual people. And I know every single one of them. All right, we will call it a night there. Thank you very much for joining me. And like I said, we are extending the Christmas songwriting contest up until New Year's Eve. So if you haven't entered because you thought we were out of time, you can still enter. And we'll still take your entries, and then Rich Cresswell and I will pick a winner. And we'll announce that on the Hogmanay show. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to the Hogmanay show. The Hogmanay show will be a bumper-length show. So we will start that at 7 p.m. Central Time, which is 1 a.m. UK. That's 2 a.m. Central Europe time. And it will be an extended show. It won't just be the 1 hour show. We will go for as long as we want to. So if you guys want to be around for an hour or 2 hours or more, then yeah, it'll be an extra long show, and I will be drinking beer. I'll be drinking champagne. So if you want to see me steadily get more and more drunk, and you can ask me more and more drunken questions, come join me for the Hogmanay show, and it will be a battle of laughs, and I may even have a guest or two on the show via Teams. Mixmaster says, is Presonus community with Presonus staff input still a thing? Presonus community is part of the Studio One Pro Plus community. That's what that is. The Presonus forum is gone. That went over a year ago. That's like nearly 2 years since we closed the forum. So yeah, the old Presonus forum, forums.presonus.com, is gone. That got closed over a year ago now. But if you are a member of Studio One Pro Plus, you have access to the Studio One Pro Plus community, which is exclusive to members only. So if you're there, you're there. And I'm there too, by the way. All right, so we'll call it a night there. Hogmanay show coming up on the 31st, New Year's Eve. It's called Hogmanay because that's what we call it here in Scotland. So I will see you then, folks. Looking forward to it. And yes, there is no Wednesday show this week because it's Christmas, right? So that'll be Christmas Eve. You guys will want to be with your families on Christmas Eve and doing your last bits of Christmas shopping, your last bits of present wrapping, and all of that fun stuff. So no show on Christmas Eve. Also, you'll notice one last thing. You will notice that on the events section of my.presonus.com, you'll see that there is supposed to be, on Boxing Day, a Studio One meetup. There will not be a Boxing Day Studio One meetup, okay? That's kind of, it's kind of all populated automatically, and the system doesn't care about, you know, Boxing Day, Christmas, New Year's Eve, and that kind of stuff. Mixmaster says, Happy Hanukkah. Thank you very much. Yes, I'm celebrating Christmas and Hanukkah, as I usually do. All right, folks. I will speak to you on New Year's Eve. Take care, folks. Good night.